Okay, hey, today is, let's see, April 22nd, Wednesday, and I'm going to be doing a reading of my book. So, my dad, he actually was going blind, um, excuse me, probably it started like 3 years ago, and I wrote this book, but at the time he was able to see, but it was just kind of deteriorating. But I mentioned that I would try to make a reading of the book, so he would at least know what it says. And again, it's not like a super great book. Everybody writes books, it's not like a big achievement or anything like that. But this book is more for me, in a reflection of kind of some things that I've learned, and I'm coming up to my 28th birthday. And so this is kind of a guidance for me as well to be like, okay, that's some of the choices that I've made in the past. And, let me kind of correct myself as I move forward. So anyway, for those of you, out there who are watching this, this book is called Who Reads Anyway? Things You Will Learn Before You're 27. Benjamin J. Ross. It's a short book, so this shouldn't be too long. And okay, so on the second page it says YE, which stands for Yahweh Everywhere. Visit WASHYE.com for more. And YE is basically speaking about God. The God of the Bible is sometimes called Yahweh, but he has many names. And so that's just a side note. But okay, I'm going to go back to the reading of the book. And I'll try to say when I'm not reading and I'm just making a comment or something. But anyway, okay, table of contents. This is really not a traditional table of contents for this book, but below are sections of topics. Each section is for everybody, not just if you are in high school or college. Enjoy! Tips for high school. This section is for those in high school or entering high school. This will go over some common problems and solutions that arise when you're around the age of high school. Tips for college. For those in college and those who aren't going to college, this section will provide insight into how to get through this time in your life. Not that it's a bad time. College is extremely fun. Tips for age 21 through 26. My account on challenges you could encounter in this age range. Invest. This section is talking about planning for the future. And that is page 3. And so each of those topics that I just explained, and I'm not reading in the book right now, those topics are basically different chapters in the book. So there are about 4 chapters in this book. The total book is about 22 pages or so. So let's just hop into it. Hopefully this video doesn't cut out. Otherwise I'll have to, kind of do some editing and make this video work. But okay, tips for high school. So this is the first chapter. High school is very exciting. This section can help those in college as well, because sometimes you may find yourself doing things you did years ago, and whether good or bad, you're going to want to learn from them. You may have problems come your way, but you have to endure the challenge by gaining experience and knowledge. Sex. Okay, so we can skip the birds and the bees and how to have sex, but you will be tempted to have sex, but you don't have to. Most likely as a young person, you will be first just kissing and then progressing from there and doing all of this outside of marriage. My advice is to stay away from anything sexual. And don't even kiss, because it will eventually lead to more, regardless of you saying it won't, or saying you will only go so far. Sex is a huge distraction from the important things in life when you're doing it outside of marriage. Most likely, because you're in high school, you will not stay with the first person you go on a date with or just hang out with. But you totally can. People do stay together after high school. but I also want to give you the most likely situation. You can be fully set on staying with that first person you meet, but they may not feel the same way even though they say they like you. And even if they do, often in life things happen outside of your plans. As you will learn more as you grow up, people don't always mean what they say. And you may think you have the best intentions, but just stay as far as possible from doing anything sexual, including when you are alone. Don't look at porn. You don't realize that you create a bad habit even though to you it feels good. Parties. So, of course, not all parties are bad. It really depends on who you are hanging out with and what they do for fun. But a lot of parties are drinking parties, even though they don't call it a drinking party anymore. There are real reasons why you should not drink before 21. A big reason is that alcohol is highly addictive, and since you do not have a lot of life experience yet, it will take you down a path you do not want to go. You want to be smart and prove to others that you're smart by just not drinking any alcohol if you are still in high school. Don't let the other people at the party who are drinking make you think they are at the height of human existence. You don't know where they will be in 5 or 10 years. Already, they are creating a bad habit by 1, not listening to the law about underage drinking. Those other people at the party may break other rules that lead them down a bad path. Of course, it is fun to break a really simple and easy rule like walking on grass where it says don't walk. But when it comes to serious rules like not underage drinking or not smoking cigarettes, you want to go ahead and listen to that because it can seriously lead you down a bad path. Don't try any drugs, don't try marijuana or anything else because it can really destroy your life and you can't get the things you really want in life, which you may not really realize what that is yet. Okay, taking a break and pausing. So in this section, I'm definitely talking about, high schoolers. I didn't drink in high school. I didn't do any drugs in high school, and I didn't smoke any cigarettes in high school. So I'm talking about, kind of that high school age, because I remember even in middle school, some people are doing a lot of things that we've already went over in this book so far. But yeah, okay, back to the book. I'm on page 6. The bad rumors of drugs and alcohol are true. And if you really look at the people who use drugs and alcohol poorly, they aren't that cool, and the really popular people at your school are not doing those things. That being said, parties can be fun, but stay safe and smart. Do some YouTube searching on tips for being at a party, and it will give you a step up. Schoolwork. Okay, so even though you may not necessarily use that most frustrating algebra problem in the real world, you want to focus on the habit you are building when at school. You will probably have strong subjects that you are interested in, and other subjects you may not fully care a lot about. But learn study tips and do your absolute best in all your classes. If you go home and study and really tire your brain out over your homework, no matter what grade you get, you will know you gave it all you got, but most likely you will get a good grade because you studied. Learn this early. Set aside time to do your schoolwork. Try to make it fun by eating your favorite snack while you do work. Don't make light of the importance of going to class and doing your homework. If you have better grades, you will make the right habits in order to get what you want out of life when you're older. Ask the teacher questions, do homework with a friend who actually studies, and then hang around people you know are getting good grades. You will see nice things in life if you take education seriously. You can learn a lot of practical knowledge that will help in your life outside of school, and when you go to apply to college, you will be more likely to get into a good school. Page 8. Life at home, parents. Keep your room as clean as possible so when you bring friends over, you will create a good impression. When you relax, when you're relaxing, try to do something with your free time that is fun and social. Watch movies, read books, relax, and then think about where you will be in 5 years regularly. If you live in a home that you do not enjoy, find an escape like go to a library. Your parent/guardian will be more likely to take you places if it's something related to school. If you don't like being at home, then join a sports team, join a club, then go to the library. Don't get discouraged or stop trying if you feel like the people in your life are being mean to you. And so for anyone who's watching this, I'm making this point because, you in high school, I'm not necessarily saying that I, lived in a bad home. I'm, saying that if you're in a home that, you feel like you are being mistreated somehow, I'm trying to give some good ways to escape that treatment as much as possible. And then obviously I go into detail about, depending on what it is, telling someone about it, talking to a teacher, and things like that. Okay. Find something to motivate, and that little comment was not in the book. But anyway, find something to motivate you and give you a positive outlook on life. Listen to your parents. They have been through life and have good advice. It may seem like it is easier to connect to someone your age, but don't neglect the wisdom your parents have. Even though you may not agree with them, try doing what they want anyway. Of course, if they want you to do something bad or harmful, try using an excuse to get out of it, then go tell someone you trust, like a teacher, the principal, or pastor, about the bad behavior. You can always talk to teachers these days, and they will help you if you are in a bad situation at home. Personal problems. Okay, YouTube search and Google everything. There are a lot of people in the world, and the internet has a lot of help out there for problems. You may not feel comfortable sharing your problem, and an internet search could be a quick solution. But communicate your problem with others. Don't just talk to people your age. You can find relief from your problem if you just vocalize it. Don't wait for others to help you with the problem. What I mean is, you can't wait for someone to ask you how you're doing and then keep asking you questions until they get to the problem. You can't wait for the answer to find you. Sometimes you can't wait for someone else to help you and solve your problem. You have to go and search out for people and actively get the help yourself. You have to search for the answer until you have a solution. Many people see counselors. These people have done research and have experience with problems. There are many solutions that exist that you don't yet know about. Find it. Listen. So many people are going to be talking and saying things that sound interesting. You want to listen to the right people. Everything you hear is not always good to actually try and do. Pay attention to advice mainly from parents, people who get good grades, or older people who look well off. Don't follow the people who look like troublemakers or actually do get in trouble. In 5 years, they may not be on the right path. Friends. So you may have a lot of friends, or not that many. You will most likely have to contact people or keep reaching out to others. Don't expect people you want to be friends with to always contact you. It's just not the real world. Be friendly yourself and always dress and look your best. If you don't have many friends, it's okay. Start getting smarter by reading books, studying, and doing sports. You will start meeting people. Don't give up. Okay, next chapter, tips for college, tips for life without college. Wow, college was life-changing, but if you're not careful, you can start having the wrong type of fun and think it's not a big deal. There is safe fun and there is fun that ends up doing more hurt than help. I can tell you that you will discover many people living different from you. This section will give you insight on what to expect and also get you thinking about questions to ask yourself as you journey through this exciting time. Remember, Remember your study habits. Remember how you conducted yourself in high school and learn from it. If you're going to college, then you should have some idea about how you act, and you should actively think about that and adjust what's necessary. So, this is not in the book, right? What I'm about to say, but in that, what I mean by that is, if you're in high school and you're just now in college, you should think about how you conducted yourself in high school, and think about, okay, what you did good and what you did bad, in order to adjust and make those same habits work for you in college that are good, and then realize that some of your bad habits are gonna grow even more in college. Okay, back to the book. For example, if you are more social and don't spend a lot of time studying, you need to give yourself a lesson and adjust the time you spend with friends drastically, or you can find yourself not getting good results from college. Remember what your parents taught you about college. If you don't remember, call them up and talk to them about how you're doing with college. The best thing you can do is take all the advice you can from trusted people. Girls/boys. Okay, so by the time you're in college, you will probably have experience having a relationship with someone. The biggest mistake you can make in college is to let this person distract you from your goals. You need to really get a handle on balancing your relationships with your schoolwork and work life. People in a relationship often fight, and that fighting and frustration can lead to poor quality work and bad decisions. Even if you're not fighting with your spouse, it can be a huge distraction when things are going great with that person. I'm not saying you should break up at all. And I'm really not saying that. Just disclaimer, that's not in the book. Because sometimes people will say, oh, I'm not saying this, but they really mean that. But anyway, because this is not in the book as well. I think one of the mistakes was kind of breaking up with that person when I was in college, and trying to focus on, kind of schoolwork and whatnot. Because you have to remember, it's good to be faithful to someone, and not just, it's good to try to learn how to conquer that challenge instead of always breaking up with that person because you've run into some issue, because there's always going to be issues. And so I think one thing is, when you're in high school or college, everybody is just constantly breaking up and getting back together with someone new. And so that's not a good habit, because when you think about, if you want to get married and you've built that habit over years of breaking up and getting back together, when you get married, you have to realize, like, now there's a 50% chance that a person will get divorced. 50% is a huge number. Like, that's 50% is bad. That's like flipping a coin, and like either it'll go one way or the other. That's such bad odds. So you definitely don't want to, I have a friend, Scott Causey, who has been with the same woman, got married through high school, and I really commend him for that. But yeah, okay, back to the book. I'm not saying you should break up at all. You just don't need to go out of your way and neglect your schoolwork and work life in order to try to please your spouse. You're still learning how to have a successful relationship, so you just need to take things slow. Speaking of taking things slow, don't fall into the trap of having one-night stands, going to parties, and having sex with random people in college, or even having sex with your spouse before you're married. If you want to have sex, go ahead and put a ring on it and get married. It's better to do that than cause more damage psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually by participating in premarital sex. If you do end up doing it early, put a ring on it, but stay focused on your work. If you don't go to college, then you need to get equipped for the working world. Learn everything you can about that job you choose to do. Look to get promoted and start learning how to properly save and spend your money. Study. Okay, so you might think it is easy to study, but there are many distractions that may arise, like Facebook, Instagram, and people. You need to set aside time to study. Study things for school. Study everyday things for life, like how to budget, fish, cook, rent a house, buy a house, etc. Study as much as you can because you will be ahead of the game. Drugs and alcohol. So by now you are at the legal age of drinking, or at least close. You're going to want to avoid drinking too much, which is really like 5 drinks of anything alcoholic. It will affect you negatively if you are done with college. The habits you make now will be with you most of your life. If you keep getting drunk, it is going to ruin your life and the plans you have for your life. Don't try any drugs, really. None of the drugs are going to be beneficial to your life. And disclaimer, I think, one thing that is tricky is, you see things like marijuana or, other drugs in movies or in songs. And because those people, like, they may be flashing like a Lamborghini, or they have nice clothes, or, they're showing cash in their video, and you're like, oh man, that's what I'm going to school for, is to get cash. Maybe I should do marijuana or something, and that will be the way. It's not, and so yeah, that's not in the book, but just a disclaimer. Okay. If you try them, you will soon discover your life getting more troublesome. So fight your desire to try it and don't do it. If you do find yourself getting out of hand with alcohol/drugs, then quickly enroll yourself in rehabilitation, AAA, and counseling. Before you drink, research people who have become alcoholics, and this could help you not drink to the point of drunkenness. Okay, and then also, there's a lot of good videos on how to drink. I think, I've heard a lot of people saying that in school, they don't teach you a lot about like drinking or things like that. And I think there really should be a class about that, because a lot of people do drink, and, for a lot of people, drinking is not wrong, but it can be abused really easily. And so, I think, learning how to drink, if you choose to drink, there's a lot of people who don't choose to drink, and that's fine. And I would say, learning how to drink, is a very important skill, and it shouldn't be neglected, even though it seems like it's a pretty simple task. Like, oh, open it and pour it down your mouth. Well, it's not that simple. Okay, friends. Pick the right friends. Even though it may seem appealing to hang with the tough crowd or the people who are partying, most of those people may not be doing much with their life in 5 years. You want to have mostly friends who are doing well in school and look respectable and kind. But if you don't have many friends, or even none, it's not the end of the world. Start getting active in the community. Also ask yourself, are you being friendly to other people? Try to get interested in what other people like doing, and not just what you like doing. As you get older, it's going to become more challenging to stay friends. If you become friends with someone, try staying friends with them, even if your interests and personalities have changed as time goes on. You don't want to burn your bridges. But even if you feel you can't benefit from that friend anymore, you can always use Facebook to stay connected without being super close. It's great to be faithful, and it's a good excuse to do some fun things you still used to do as a kid and stay connected with friends you had when you were smaller. Nathan Gui. I remember Nathan Gui when I was in elementary school. He was the first kid that showed me where the bathroom was, and I stayed friends with Nathan even through college. I visited him at his college. He went to Cal Poly University, and he graduated as an architect. But we were so small, and the teacher was like, show Ben where the bathroom is. I think I had to go to the bathroom or something. Kids with small bladders, and so yeah. But shout out Nathan Gui if you see this. Okay, narrow down your path. And obviously that was not in the book. But anyway, narrow down your path. Okay, it's important to have some A, B, and C plans for what you will do for work in other areas. I totally agree with the advice to get an easier degree first, even if you're not totally sure. Sometimes second guessing can lead to being unmotivated and bad decisions. Since you're young, take some chances on starting that business, doing that job you think will be fun or something else. But it's good to create some sort of plan and work towards it. But don't put your head in the clouds. For example, if you really want to be a rapper, don't quit going to college, going to work, and doing more stable things with your life. Pursue your dream, but don't let it keep you from the real world. Obviously, people do become successful starting that cool new business, or, and this is not in the book, or becoming a rapper. Like, obviously there are real rappers. Like, it's not totally foolish to be like, oh, I want to be a rapper, or, you know, it doesn't have to be rap. It could be a country singer. You know, it's not, I wouldn't say it's foolish, because there's obviously real people who do become successful. Okay, anyway, but back to the book. But you have to be smart about it. Know your stuff. You can't get distracted for years trying to fulfill a dream that just isn't taken off the ground because you don't have a practical plan for your life and you're not learning in college or learning in general. You can't become a rapper by getting drunk, doing drugs, and trying to sleep around and live the party life. The music is deceitful because it paints a picture, but it doesn't show what's going on in the background. Stay focused, get your degree, get work experience, and do your dream part-time until it starts making you more money. But don't forget, it's not always about the money. You need to learn as well. Okay, chapter 3, I believe. We're almost done. This is a short book. Tips for when you're about 21 through 26. During this time in your life, During this time in my life, there were some unexpected challenges that arose from bad choices. Odds are, because you are young, you will make some bad choices. I would tell younger me to take advice and get help. Honestly, for me, it sometimes hurts to take advice because I just want to do what I want to do. The music that you listen to can greatly influence what you do. If you haven't experienced something and you hear something in the music that sounds fun to do, you may not choose to reject doing that activity, whatever it may be. And this is not in the book, but I guess that line kind of sounds confusing. I think you should pretty much get what I'm saying, but basically, you know, if the rapper's like, it's rap for me, you know, that's kind of like my Achilles heel towards like some sort of bad music. But sometimes the songs, they sound good, but I think you have to think of it as acting. You have to think of it as entertainment. You can't take it for like, oh, this is actually something that you should do, like, you know, yeah, like, you know, blowing all your money, you know, on something silly, you know, like, you just don't do that, you know. So anyway, okay. Try to keep a steady job. But if you really don't like the job for your own reasons, then leave. Try to get better at establishing good relationships. As you know, evil is rampant in the world, and odds are you have participated. So try as hard as possible to stop doing those things that are destructive to your body and lifestyle. Things like sex before marriage, getting drunk, and not being productive with your time. You can waste a lot of time being busy, but not really improving your life or moving in a positive direction. If you start bad habits, it is really hard to break them and can take years to get free. Have fun, but have smart fun, like doing sports, weightlifting, joining a sailing team, reading, or getting serious about your rap album. You get the idea. That's a little joke, but yeah. Okay, money. Okay, so plenty of people don't know how to deal with money. Take 2 or 3 classes on personal finance. Then start investing. not just in the traditional sense of the word, but also in more ways to make money. For example, if you have a 9 to 5 job, see if you can rent out a spare room in your home, put money in stocks and bonds, get a CD account with your bank, rent out your extra car, start selling your rap music, etc. You get the idea, but plan ahead. You could lose your job, so you have to have other means of money. But don't overwork yourself to get rich. You have to also remember you could die. So there are more important things in the world than money. No amount of money is going to make your spouse not cheat on you if you're not treating them right. It's harsh, but you get the idea that money can't solve every issue. Money is the answer to everything, but the lack of money in one sense can be beneficial. For example, having a lack of $1 billion could be beneficial because you can sleep at night, you won't be greedy, and you'll be wiser. Having 50,000 coming in every year could be better than the excess of money. And disclaimer, obviously there are people who are rich, and God bless the rich. There's a reason for them. God made the rich and the poor, but the Bible does say that whoever desires to be rich, falls into many foolish and harmful lusts that drown men in destruction and perdition. So, yeah. But, obviously you want to shoot for being successful in regards to your money. I think, that's not in the book as well. But anyway. And I'm sure you probably get the transition in my voice when, I'm saying something that's not in the book. But hopefully that helps anyway. Okay, treating your spouse right. Always treat your spouse respectfully and with love. Be the nicer person even if they seem to be mean to you. Don't just be intimate, but get to know your spouse. Get married and learn everything you can about being a good spouse. Money can't teach you how to treat your spouse. Okay, the last chapter, invest in what counts. You can gain the whole world but lose your soul. It's true, you have a soul. Jesus came to the earth to die for the sins of the world. If you really want to invest in something, invest in Jesus. If you don't believe in God, you should at least do extensive research on the existence of God. There are plenty of things in the world you may not know, and Jesus is one of those things. Although you may not see God, so you come to a conclusion that God isn't real, you have to take into account the possibility of the impossible. It's truly amazing you're alive, and you don't even know how you got here. Sure, science can explain how babies grow in the process, but where do people go when they die? I would say it's somewhat obvious that there is a God. Get a Bible and read it. If there is evil in this world, which you should know by now is true, then you should know that there must be a great goodness in the world, and that goodness is God. Don't wait till it's too late. The Bible says there is an afterlife and that God has standards. If you die and you have not lived up to the standard of Jesus, you will regret it. Ask God to come into your life and change it. He can truly take your bad habits and turn them into good. If you would like to receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you have to stop sinning and be baptized and believe that He exists. If you believe in Jesus, you will be saved. Plus, you will be clean and loved by God. Go to church and start improving your life for the better. Okay, and then that is the end of the book. That's page 21. On the back of the book, it says, life is going to teach you some lessons. If you are not paying attention, you can miss the lesson. Consider this book a crash course on life before you reach age 27. Enjoy. So yeah, I'm literally 27 right now. So I wrote this book earlier this year in 2019. I got married in September. I wrote this book actually before I was married. And I think also what I wanted to say is, when you believe in Jesus, it doesn't just mean head knowledge. It doesn't just mean, intellectually knowing that God exists. Believing in Jesus, it means when you believe in something, that means you start to do what the Bible says. It means you start to do what Jesus wants. Jesus says that if you obey everything he commands, you will abide in his love. And so believing in Jesus, it means to practice those things, the action of Jesus. You have to forgive that person, and you have to, do what he says, not just, oh, I'm praying. Oh, repentance means to change. So, my testimony is obviously a lot of those things in the book came from personal experience, but, repentance means you change the way you do something. So I hope this book helps anyone who's seen this. And Dad, I hope that, a lot of those things I learned from you, and I hope you get that. And that is the book, so it's obviously, just something I think it really helps me as well. And I hope that you enjoyed it. So thanks everyone for watching, and God bless you. If you would like to buy the book, I have to always make that, kind of statement, but I'll put a link below if you want to get the book yourself, an ebook, or you can get a printed version. Obviously, this book is not really traditional. I guess on Lulu, they classify those authors as independent authors. So we're not kind of like the traditional type of way. They call it, the short indie authors, and hopefully that abbreviation kind of jogs some other, images about indie, hipster. It's kind of like that non-traditional. It's sort of a style, but yeah. Thanks for watching, and Jesus bless you. Thanks.